Do great knights live in the hedges and die by the side of a muddy road? I think not. Sir Arlan wasn't gifted with sword or lance, and he drank, and he whored, and he was a hard man to know. He made no friends either.
He lived nigh on 60 years and never was a champion. What chance do I have, truly?
But he was good to me. I wasn't his family, but he kept me like we were. He raised me to be an honourable man. And all these noble lords can't even remember his name. His name was Ser Arlen of Pennytree. And I am his legacy. On the morrow, we will show them what his hand has wrought.
On the morrow. There comes a time in every man's life when he steps out of being a child and starts thinking and acting like a man. Paul said it plainly in his letter to the Corinthians. When I was a child, I spake as a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. That line usually gets read as a verse about growing up. It isn't. It's a verse about the weight a man chooses to pick up once he's done pretending the world owes him something. It's about seeing the thing clearly for what it is and loving it anyway. This scene, to me, is the pinnacle of the whole show. A great show that tells a story. A story as old as time and tells it with purity and without a muddied modern social lens that so often ruins things with a false moral. Dunk, the hedge knight, the thick as a castle wall, slow as an aurochs orphan out of Flea Bottom, sits at a fire after a long day at the Ashford tourney, and he finally says the thing out loud. His master is dead, has been for weeks. Sir Arlan of Pennytree. The only father he ever had, the man he idolized, the man he wanted to be. And Dunk, sitting there, lays out the honest account of him. He doesn't soften it, he doesn't romanticize it. He says Sir Arlan wasn't gifted with sword or lance. He drank, he whored, he was a hard man to know, he made no friends, he lived nigh on 60 years and was never a champion. This is the man Dunk built his whole life around. This is the man whose armor he's wearing, whose horse he's riding, whose name he's trying to honor in a tournament full of lords and princes. And when Dunk finally gets the courage to walk around that town, to the great houses his master bled for, to the men Sir Arlan fought alongside, not a single one of them remembers the old man's name, not one. The world Sir Arlan gave his body to has already forgotten he was ever in it. That is a particular kind of grief. Anyone who's ever buried a father figure and then gone looking for his mark on the world knows it. You go looking for the monument and you find an empty field. You go looking for the legend and you find a man who drank too much and died in the rain. You realize, maybe for the first time, that the man you worshipped was just a man. Most boys never make it through that moment. They do one of two things. They either hold on to the myth, they double down, they refuse to see him clearly, they spend the rest of their lives defending a version of him that never existed, or they break the other way. They get bitter, they feel betrayed, they decide the old man was a fraud, and by extension everything he taught them was a fraud, and they throw the whole inheritance in the fire. Both of those are the reactions of a child. Both of those are spake as a child, understood as a child, thought as a child. What Dunk does is the harder thing, the man's thing. He says, yes, all of that is true. He drank, he whored, he was no champion. The world has forgotten him, and in the same breath, without flinching, without contradiction, he says this: I wasn't his family, but he kept me like we were. He raised me to be an honorable man. That is the whole moral universe in 2 sentences. Because here's what Dunk has figured out, sitting by that fire that most men go their whole lives without figuring out. Honor is not what the world sees. Honor is what a man does every day when nobody is keeping score. Sir Arlan took in an orphan off the streets of King's Landing. He fed him. He taught him. He kept him like king when there was no law, no blood, no obligation for him to. He did it because it was the right thing to do, and he did it for years, and he did it with no audience. No lord remembers that, no chronicler wrote that down, there's no banner for it. But Dunk saw it. Every day. For years. And Dunk, now a man, has the wisdom to know that what he saw is worth more than what all those lords forgot. This is the piece the world keeps trying to get men to miss. The world wants us to measure a man by the recognition he accumulated. By the trophies, the titles, the followers, the obituary. The world wants us to believe that if nobody remembers you, you didn't matter. The world has it exactly backward. The men who built you didn't build you in public. They built you in the long, boring, unwatched hours when they could have been doing something easier. They built you by keeping the vow nobody was checking on. They built you by being decent when indecent would have cost them nothing. A boy waits for the world to tell him his father was great. A man decides for himself what greatness was, looks the evidence dead in the eye and picks it up anyway. And then Dunk says the line that every great man eventually has to learn to say. He says it quiet. He says it flat. He says it with the whole weight of a dead man on his shoulders and a tourney he has no business winning in front of him. His name was Ser Arlen of Pennytree, and I am his legacy. On the morrow, we will show them what his hand has wrought. That is a grown man talking. Notice what's not in there. There's no desperation to rewrite Sir Arlan into something grander than he was. There's no self-pity. Dunk has looked at the whole mess, the flaws, the obscurity, the indifference of the world, and he's picked it up and put it on his back, and he's saying, tomorrow I go out there, and I carry it. That's the move. That's the whole thing. That's what Paul meant. Putting away childish things doesn't mean you stop loving the people who made you. It means you stop needing them to be flawless in order to love them. It means you can hold the 2 truths. He was not a great man by the world's measure, and he was a great man by mine, in the same hand at the same time, without cracking. It means you stop waiting for the crowd to validate the inheritance, and you start spending it. Most of us have a Sir Arlan somewhere. A father, a grandfather, an old coach, someone who took a chance on us when we were nothing, a man who kept us like family when we had no claim on him, a man the world will never put on a monument. The type of man we should strive to be. His name was Ser Arlen of Pennytree, and on the morrow, we will show them what his hand has wrought.
Get up.